Welcome to my YouTube channel. I am your entrepreneurship tutor, Professor Henry Buis of Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology in Kenya. Today I want to talk about two terms, entrepreneurs and tenderpreneurs. And I'm saying I see a kind of political dilemma. In Kenya, do we have political entrepreneurs or do you have political tenderpreneurs? Yes, I want to say or think that Kenya has a shortage of political entrepreneurs, but it has no shortage of political entrepreneurs. They seem to be in abundance. So whereas political entrepreneurs are scarce, political entrepreneurs are plenty. Yes, a political entrepreneur may be defined as a politician or a bureaucrat or an officer within the public funded sector who encourages entrepreneurship for growth and employment using innovative and ethical approaches. But a political entrepreneur is the politically correct people who use their powers and influence to secure government tenders and contracts. Yes, you can see the media reporting here. The curious shortage of KEMSA millionaire tenderpreneurs. That's one institution that has gone into history in Kenya about these tenderpreneurs who could even benefit from the misfortune of others. But first, what is entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship is by and large about innovative thinking, coming up with new ideas and approaches to problems. Innovation is doing things differently, taking a different approach, asking new questions for asking old questions in the same way. We always have the same answers. So, innovative thinking produces results that change or challenge the status quo. Yes, it was Einstein, Albert Einstein, who said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So relate this to the middle box. Innovation is doing things differently, taking a different approach, asking new questions. For asking the old questions in the same way, we always have the same answers. And that's what Albert Einstein is telling us. Insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So that is entrepreneurship for me. Now, 2010, that to me was the year of innovative thinking about Kenya's constitution. The then non-equity, non-equality, corrupt-laden top-down economic model was to be replaced via devolution. So, devolution came because of the top-laden, corrupt-laden, top-down economic model that we focus on the top or at the top and things will trickle down to the bottom. But that didn't work. So Kenya's constitution innovatively comes up with devolution so that we can go down to the grassroots, the bottom of the pyramid, with power, with development.
Kenya's system of governance has been labeled by critics as a top-down system where people in the grassroots often fail to get an equitable share of the national cake. This is what the chapter on devolution aims at changing by delegating some of the duties of the central government to a lower level in terms of resources, power, and services.
Yes, devolution came in and it was a panacea, but perhaps new wine was being poured in old wineskins, for the evils at the top were simply devolved. Forests changed, but mangies remained the same and even increased. Let's listen.
Let's talk about devolution further. And corruption has been devolved to counties despite the great expectations that it will bring the government closer to the people, increasing transparency and accountability. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is investigating almost 30 former and current governors for swindling or allegedly swindling county coffers through patronage systems that revolve around family, friends.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has raised the red flag over deep-seated rot across all county governments. EACC CEO Twalib Mbarak says that out of the 47 counties, no single county is without blemish. The anti-graft body claims county governors are key architects of the rampant corruption and are heavily involved in witness tampering to cover up their sins.
Yes, corruption, tenderpreneurship, devolution, devolved just corruption to the bottom, according to this reporting and news. But is it that the CEO of the country did know this? Doesn't know this? Let's listen.
It is still unbelievable, and this is one time I hope our reporting is wrong, that President Uhuru Kenyatta said during radio interviews yesterday that people in his government are stealing 2 billion shillings daily. 2 billion. That's how many zeros? If we can just turn to the screen. Yes, that's 9 zeros. But forget the zero. There's these zeros, and let us look at what this money can do to solve the ongoing nurses' strike in the country, for example. I spoke to the Secretary General of the National Union of Nurses, Seth Panyako, earlier just to try and understand what it would take for the 30,000 nurses from public hospitals that he represents to get back to work. Well, he says if the government agrees to increase the risk allowance for the nurses to 15,000 shillings, they would be back to treating ailing Kenyans. That's what's standing in the way of them getting back to work. Now, in a month, that would be about 13.5 billion shillings, and in a year, roughly 162 billion shillings. Using the staggering 2 billion shillings lost in a day from President Uhuru Kenyatta's government, that would make it 730 billion shillings in a year, which is a third of the country's budget. And that, ladies and gentlemen, would pay the nurses risk allowance for 4 years and some months, given what they are currently asking for within their rights. That's just one thing that 2 billion shillings that is lost in a day can do for the nation.
President Uhuru Kenyatta amesema 2 billion every day. He has said it. Every day. 2 billion. So can you what do you want Kenyans to do when you are saying 2 billion?
President Uhuru Kenyatta maintains that Kenya will recoup billions of shillings lost in the Anglo-leasing type security contracts. The president has directed that investigations be reopened into the decade-long scandal and warned the State Law Office against laxity that resulted into the loss of the Anglo-leasing cases. Samugina reports.
Terrible.
A summation and admission of a head of state coerced to cough up 1.4 billion shillings to shadowy Anglo-leasing security firms. President Uhuru Kenyatta admitting to circumstantial arm twisting of Kenya government in face of foreign borrowing. The country's intention of borrowing 132 billion shillings was in jeopardy owing to non-payment of the Anglo-leasing debt.
And in the event we are able to get a hold of all those individuals who are involved, we will do everything in our power to ensure that this money are repaid by the culprits. Kuna kaunti ingine ambao wanatumia 600 million ku-oversee ama ku-supervise kulingana na vile Senator, Speaker wa Senate amesema, you use 600 million to oversight 800 million. Now, does that make sense?
Yes. Corruption, tenderpreneurship is rampant, and the CEO of the country admits and hopes that this one can be dealt with effectively. Now, bad or good country CEO things at the county matter. Yes, traditionally, we have been looking at the top, thinking that we need a good president with good ministers to bring development down to us. Here, Mother Karua schools us on the contrary.
Hata ukimchagua rais unayopenda, ujue usipochagua governor na MCA ambao wanafaa, utaendelea kuumia rais akiwa Ikulu. Sababu kazi ya rais si kazi ya county. Tumeelewa? Kwa hivyo anza kwa county, usianze juu. Chagua MCA na governor wema. Alafu chagua MP mwema. Alafu endelea. MP ni kusema women rep, constituency MP na senator. Au wote ni parliamentarians. Malizia na rais, sababu tunamhitaji pia. Lakini ukifocus on presidency only, na ndio inafanya tuzozane, ukose kufocus on your county, you will suffer while your favorite president is seated in State House.
Yes, Mother Karua tells us that much as we want good president, but a good president minus a good governor, good MCAs, we may be going nowhere. And therefore people glamor for we want the national cake. We want to be in State House. We want to be in government. We want to have ministers. May have a point. But if they forget the bottom of the pyramid, if they don't innovatively think of how to bring resources down to the grassroots, then good president or bad president, the bottom may still remain bad. Now, I listen to this young man and I hear innovative thinking. We have a shortage of such a political entrepreneurs. And this young man is started in 2022, just before the elections, campaigning for 2027. Let's listen to him. Read the translation. Carefully read the translation.
Nicholas afuire kubela neurosurgeon sakaba kasita. Lita malenge ne omo Mungoma kulela neurosurgeon. Kulela neurosurgeon. Quite visibangwe. Nono esenenyile kureva. Chairman uwefuwa DAPK. Mwana shuka elinenda chieka chela futisa tekungu. Male manyile nandi bahaki kusinga bakusepande. Esenenyile ndevi na abone siye kusila na kureve serikali. Efuwefusa 1,000 acres. Mala kutenga nano kure medical university. Medical university ne nano kulabanenda neurosurgeon. Kulabanenda specialist books. Baliana no basomya na basilifu. Sikana kulinda medical university, abalazima konka hospital. Kwa hivyo, kitali balende town, bomba hospital, lakini labda mpaka bomba university, medical university, nyela bae bohurani hospital kitali. That is why Eldoret ile Kakolabula kubela balinda medical university. Kwa hivyo kulango namo ni Kakamega, they got it right. Balinda medical university in Masinde Muliro. Kwa hivyo kulango na Masinde Muliro medical university. Bungoma medical university. Kitale medical university. Kunachendere specialists. Baleta fumbi nyana. Sika kunyama kusa specialist kwa ama Nairobi kita amini Bungoma. Nono kami na konika esendo bilenandi muhaenja baba mita cabinet ministers. When I was saying project again, I could employ more than 10,000 people from this area just having the university.
Yes, this young man is thinking innovatively. Traditionally, common thinking, register in numbers, vote in numbers, and our own must be ministers. This young man is saying, don't clamor for ministers. Clamor for projects that address community issues. It's like a minister is an individual with a flag on his or her van, her car, but community development will not necessarily come from that individual minister, even if they were to make policies. So he's saying infrastructure, university in this case, less glamour for developmental infrastructure and not necessarily individual flag bearers or carrying flags, national flags. And for Bungoma, the past can be remembered with nostalgia. Yes, this tweet below tells a tale of when good leadership at the grassroots level made both sense and sense for Bungoma district. Yes, this is a tweet from Honorable Eugene Omalwa, a cabinet minister. He reminding us, says he reminded the deputy high commissioner of the special history between Bungoma County and the UK, when Bungoma County Council was once doing so well that the late Pascal Nabwana offered to lend money to the Queen of England. Yes, it is said that when devolution or when the grassroots, when devolved power was working well with proper leaders like Mzee Pascal Nabwana, the district was rich. A district would lend money abroad. And that is what the young man we've just had is looking for, the direction of his thinking. And yes, nostalgia. That is the pictures of the Mzee Pascal Nabwana, who brought development, grassroots leadership, bringing development to the grassroots. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. You can reach me via that email, wihem@gmail.com.